good anything grows by word of mouth. That's almost the only way that anything ever really grows. It's really hard to market yourself to success. You talked about at the start how the title to create a podcast that grows itself, which is kind of converse to what I was just talking about here. And so I think that we still do want to address, like, good shows do grow by word of mouth, and good anything grows by word of mouth. That's almost the only way that anything ever really grows. It's really hard to market yourself to success on just marketing alone. And
Yeah.
so I think where most people, if you're not getting traction, it's probably because you're not aiming narrow enough. And of course, if this is something I've
Mm.
struggled with, this is something that everybody struggles with content
Yeah.
marketing, with your business, with like anything where you're trying to reach an audience, we don't narrow ourselves down enough with our niche. And so how I like to usually think about it is thinking about like which group of people, and this could be, demographics, psychographics, hopefully a mix of both of those. But which group of people can you realistically become the very best in the world for? And so start like narrowing that down and think like at some point you can add in so many filters and variables that you might actually already be that best option in the world. And so at that point, maybe you actually want to widen it out a little bit so it's a little bit more aspirational. You have to do some work to get there, but you have a chance at actually becoming that top person for that very, very specific group of people. And
Yeah.
once you're able to do that, like that's when word spreads, when can be known for one singular thing that you do better than anyone else. And I think a lot of people, when they're thinking about this, when you think about being the best in the world at anything, that feels like, well, you need to like give up everything else in your life and just dedicate yourself to that. And I don't think that that's necessarily the approach you
Yeah.
need to take. It's more on the narrowing your line of sight of who you're actually looking to appeal to. And so once you do that, that's when people start to market the show for you. And when you can be that like just absolute best, if somebody says like, okay, well, what is the best show out there on, let's say we work with a lot of wellness people. So let's say paleo diet for women in their 50s or something like that. Like that's a pretty narrow niche there. And if you could be the go-to
Yeah.
person for that, I think that's achievable for almost anyone who already has a background in paleo
Absolutely.
diet or something in fitness. They could probably, dominate that small niche. And once you do that, then it starts to spread outwards, because I think the place where people get it wrong is they think, well, if I say that this is my niche, those are the only people who are going to listen to me. But really, it's about
Mm.
those are the people you're marketing to. And actually, a whole bunch of other people are still going to be interested, even though they're not quite your core target audience. There's going to be, maybe 70% overlap, and it still might be the best
Yeah.
content for them because they like your personality or whatever that is. And so it's
Absolutely.
not excluding people. You're still going to get a lot of those people. It's just you're marketing specifically to one group of people. So I think
Yeah.
that's the first thing to address when it comes to like growing a show. In terms of like actually getting that exposure, my favorite way is to do podcast guesting on other shows. And this is something like you can be so targeted with who you get in front of by the shows that you reach out to, because you can look at the show and you can say, okay, well, clearly this show is appealing to, let's take your show for example, it's appealing to people who are into content marketing, entrepreneurship, online business. And so if I'm looking to get in front of those people, I can look at your show and be like, okay, well, that's my audience right there. And of course you can get even narrower depending on the vibe, even within like those shows. Like maybe there's some shows that have a super like aggressive vibe versus like a heart-centered vibe or something like that. So you can look at the shows, you can listen to
Yeah.
one episode and you can be like, oh, this appeals to the people I'm looking to get in front of. And so you can go
Absolutely.
out and pitch those people. And if you are an expert in any kind of subject matter that overlaps with that audience, that would be beneficial to that audience, then chances are you have a good shot at being featured as a guest there. And it's not about getting on shows with millions of followers, but even 500 people who weren't aware of you before, but who are perfect fit for what you do. Like that's a really
Absolutely.
significant kind of addition to your audience potentially.